revelations last night, in fact, and they've been put to the Minister today in Parliament around just what the NDIS is being used for, at least in part, that is to purchase drugs. That was coming from the NDIA boss. Joining us now live is the Shadow NDIS and Housing Minister, Michael Sukkar. Thanks for your time. So, pretty dramatic revelations. Is this just a scheme that needs a lot of fixing? Because was this still happening, in the coalition's time? Was there anything Labor's done that created this, or it's just a legacy?
Well, they're startling revelations. I think we all get a bit worn down by the succession of revelations out of the NDIS and the NDIA. But, Bill Shorten's been the minister now for 2 years. 2 years, he's been running around diagnosing problems with one minor detail. He's the minister who's actually able to make some changes, and he's not done nothing in 2 years. Obviously, we saw horrific examples last night from the NDIA itself, whether it be heroin, meth, narcotics. But it follows, in the last estimates period, the agency admitting that prostitutes are being used widely across the scheme. Now,
in terms of how that works, if I can just get you on this, because you delve into this, people that we watching would go, but hang on, I don't understand. Is it they've got an account and they just go, hey, I'm paying for it via this? One of them was a $73,000 car. What's the mechanics of how that's working? Because that doesn't sound hard to stop. The so-called NDIS tax might be tricky. Surely you can stop someone buying a car. How are the mechanics of that
Absolutely.
working?
So the mechanics are you have a plan with an allocated budget. You then get reimbursed for services under that plan. Clearly, there are examples here of people using it for, as you said, a car, but also other services, including prostitutes, cash transactions with drugs as well, that are being remitted immediately. So the minister's done nothing in 2 years. You say it's a problem that he inherited. Well, we didn't have these examples in Senate estimates previously. I mean, these are coming out on his watch. Again, 2 years into government. I mean, we're nearly at the end of their term, first term in government, hopefully only term in government, and they've done nothing. The scheme's out of control. We've said from day one, we'll work with the government in good faith on how we can get the NDIS under control. Bill Shorten went to the election telling the Australian people there are no sustainability issues with the NDIS. It's running and tracking as predicted, are his exact words. And then as soon as he got elected, he changed his tune and agreed that there were sustainability issues. So it's a big breach of faith.
Were you promised to cut it? Because we've been talking earlier that the opposition thinks it's too politically difficult. Peter Dutton will look like the hard man again. But to me, it's just what has to happen.
Well, no, what we've always said is the broad acceptance and support for the scheme nationally is predicated on every dollar being used wisely. That's basically what underpins the support for the scheme. I think we're seeing that support to some extent wane, or certainly part of it, because people are seeing this succession of terrible examples. And Bill Shorten shrugs his shoulders and says, well, we're trying our best, we're trying to fix it. 2 years into government, what have you done? It's still out of control, and we want to see every dollar going to the right places. People are waiting twice as long for a plan under this government than when we were in government. So genuine people with disabilities are waiting longer, being denied access to the scheme, while on the other hand, people are buying drugs under the scheme. It's outrageous. We want to see every dollar going to the right place. It's not a capped scheme. And I think if every dollar is going to a genuine person with a disability, no Australian, and certainly the coalition, would not oppose that in any way.
Given that, and given the fact that the Greens are opposing any changes to the scheme to improve sustainability, is the coalition going to support the legislation currently before the Parliament to try and improve, the way this money is spent? Yeah,
look, our position is we'll wait to see what the committee inquiry says. There's certainly parts of this bill that we can support. There are others that have not been consulted on properly. I mean, another terrible aspect of this government is when they consult with stakeholder groups, they make them sign non-disclosure agreements, which has happened here. So people within the sector are not even able to genuinely consult. So we're running a consultation process, a pseudo-consultation process through this committee inquiry, and we'll form a view at that point in time on what we support, what amendments we think need to be made.
You're inclined to back it?
Well, look, there are parts of it we're inclined to back. There are other parts we have concerns with, and we'll make a decision in totality, depending on any amendments we
do. You agree with the Minister that this has been I know we're talking about the negatives and the problems, but do you agree with his assessment that it's also been life-changing in a positive sense for many participants?
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's been phenomenal for so many individuals, and that's why I think we are entrusted with taxpayers' dollars, and we need to make sure every dollar gets to a worthy recipient. And the sad reality is there are worthy recipients who get delayed access to the scheme or don't get plans as big as what they need, partly because of the financial pressure that the scheme is facing from people criminally rorting the scheme, that Bill Shorten shrugs his shoulders and says, well, you know, we're doing a bit more compliance. There's no government program that we would accept prostitutes and drugs being used. So this is at a level that I think probably none of us have seen in our time.
So why wasn't the attack all through question time? I'm a bit missed. I mean, it's Peter Dutton's decision, not yours. I appreciate it. But why did we have one question on Andrew Giles, then let him off the hook, and then one question to Bill Shorten, then let him off the hook? I'm a bit puzzled by the tactics.
It wasn't an attack on Bill Shorten. It was a question to him, genuinely hoping that he would be able to answer the question, and it became very clear that his response to that was, well, we're doing everything we can, and I inherited this. And I've been in government for 2 years, and what presumably been twiddling his thumbs for 2 years. I mean, that was the answer. I'd also say, Andrew, in just defensive tactics, it's a pretty target-rich environment. There are a lot of weak performers on their front bench, a lot of issues that are emerging now where you've got ministers who are seemingly sitting in their offices rocking back and forth without any idea of what to do. So there's a lot of potential targets. And I think, obviously, we've had the egregious example with Andrew Giles, but there are a lot of issues that need to be flushed out and not enough questions, sadly. The government doesn't like scrutiny, and we only really get 7 questions every question time.
Just on housing, finally. So master builders say we need 90,000 more tradies to be able to build the homes we need. And you want to cut migration overall. Is 90,000, can you fit that into your forward envelope of cutting migration overall?
I doubt you'd fit 90,000 in. I mean, the truth is, under this government, we've just seen it today, yoga teachers added to the skills list and no tradies.
It is an independent report to government.
Sure.
So it's not done yet.
You know, okay, like so much of this government says, we've got no responsibility here. We just happen to be the government. The truth is, we will prioritise those sorts of trades within our much reduced migration.
So 90,000, that's too many. You won't be able to...
No, 90,000 is a great aspiration for the NBA, but I'm not committing on this program.
But you said before you wouldn't be able to fit that.
Well, there's a huge number of trades that we should be bringing through Australians who should be doing trades.
We can do homegrown, a mix of that.
Well, you need to have it needs to be both.
Okay, all right.
Not a yoga fan?
I'm not really particularly flexible, but my wife's a big fan of yoga, so maybe she'll disagree with me after the program.
Yeah,
just quickly, we saw some pretty major kite flying from Josh Frydenberg over the weekend. Surely that doesn't help perceptions that the Liberals have a women problem, especially as considering Amelia Hamer's already got that spot for Kooyong.
Oh, look, I don't agree with that. I think we've got an outstanding candidate in Kooyong who I think will win the seat back. She'll earn the trust of the electorate. I think we've seen the grandstanding from the Teal Independents and without any delivery in this term. So I think we've pre-selected a brilliant candidate. Josh has reaffirmed his support for her and I'm sure at the right time Josh will be campaigning and helping Amelia, but she's her own candidate, her own person. She's got her own vision for the seat. She's a homegrown local. So I think we've got wonderful female candidates coming through, whether it's Amelia, whether it's in the Monash electorate and a range of others, I'm sure, between now and election day, who will fly the flag for the Liberal Party.
Michael Sukkar, thank you. You can get your wife maybe to, I think there's a lotus move or something in yoga, isn't there, Kieran? You know this stuff.
Yeah.
He's giving the nod. Yeah, there it is.
Plenty of moves, man.
One of his favourites. All right.